Watching the Orioles, watching the Orioles. Watching the Orioles, watching the Orioles.
Welcome in to Bird's Eye View. When it comes to the Orioles, this podcast is your official source for a lack of insight and for baseless opinions. Today is May 22nd, 2026, and this is episode 428. My name is Jake English.
And I'm Scott Magnus.
And on this week's show, I don't know, man. I just don't know.
That's right. We're just going to keep going around the bases. We're going to lubricate the show. We're going to grab a few beers. Jake, what are you doing tonight?
Let's see. This is an early riser American IPA from Falling Branch.
I'm doing a citrus squall from Dogfish. Derek, I do listen to your tweets or skeets or whatever they may be. But we're going to go right to the cheap seats, and we're going to start heckling this team that is, I guess, a baseball team at this point.
That's right. Instead of content this evening, we're going to get to discontent. Because I got to tell you, Scotty, we talked...
That's wordplay.
Yeah. That's wordplay. Thanks for that. It's always best when you have to point it out.
Yeah.
We talked on this program last time about the Orioles being in danger of earning apathy from the fan base, and I think it is possible that they have way overshot.
I think they have exceeded expectations more so than we could have ever expected.
Can I tell you something? I was absolutely ready to grab the pitchforks and the torches this past week for the Saturday game in Washington.
Oh, that was a lovely experience for you, right?
Well, I'll tell you, you have mocked me once, twice, three times a lady about my absolute enjoyment of going to see the ball club in Boston. I have very fond memories of Washington, D.C. Went to school there, spent a few years. It was very lovely. And so my roommate in college is a big local D.C. sports fan. He invited us down to go down and watch the game. And we had such a great time in D.C. Sarah and I went down early. We parked across the river. We took the metro in, had a very nice brunch with steak, eggs, some beverages.
Mm-hmm.
We walked the Anacostia, which at this point is the better of the two rivers in that area. Stopped at a building that called itself a winery, but they sold wine. Had a phenomenal time with everything down there except the baseball game.
So you enjoyed the yuppie part of DC, basically.
Well, no, we also went. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They have this area called the Bullpen right outside the stadium, which is, I mean, I guess it's their version of Pickles, but it's literally just a big box full of expensive beer.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Okay,
that was very fun. Then we walked into the doors, and a baseball game started.
Into a lovely stadium.
It was all right. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like I can't rightly judge other stadiums.
Oh, I think you can.
Okay.
I think you can.
So there we are. We're making friendly with the Nats fans in our section. The strangers behind us were also a mixed group of Orioles and Nats fans.
It seemed like it was a well-attended game by Orioles fans.
It was well-attended by Orioles fans. It was also well-attended because they were giving out a bobblehead.
What bobblehead? Where was that again?
It was an Ovechkin Nationals bobblehead.
So that's the one where he's on horseback, right?
Absolutely. The thing is about that is that...
Hall of Fame water polo player, right?
It's selling well on eBay right now, and I might be able to salvage part of this weekend.
There you go.
But the Orioles got behind early, but it was not gross. It was fine. We were going back and forth, the Nats fans and the Orioles fans trying to convince one another that no, my team doesn't want to win this game more than your team doesn't want to win it. And then the afternoon just fell apart. And the Orioles, I think, ended up losing by 10 runs.
Yes. Maybe more than that, actually.
And it was no longer fun as a baseball experience at that point.
You get to see a position pitcher pitch, right?
I do not even remember. I will tell you that...
That's those beers in the bullpen.
It was just so frustrating because, I drove all that way. I felt like I had made more of an effort than the Orioles that day. And I thought to myself, who in their right mind is going to see a game like today and want to go to another ball game that requires anything more than even the slightest bit of effort to get there.
Listen, I'm glad that you brought this up. I have been kicking myself for well over 24 hours right now. My wife and her family have been discussing going to a baseball game this weekend as a large group. And I kept asking the question. I was like, hey, what's going on with tickets? What's going on? Are we actually going to this game? In the back of my head, I'm keep thinking to myself, listen, I'm the first one that always wants to go to a baseball game. I'm willing to go with other folks. But after this recent Tampa Bay series and after that national series, I'm like, they really should be paying me to go to this game. But anyway, I get my text on Wednesday indicating, hey, my family wants to go. It's going to be 20 of us that we all want to sit together. So what kind of idiot do I look like calling the Orioles ticket office and saying, hey, I have been so impressed by the product on the field that I want to give you money for 20 people to go to a game this weekend to see the Baltimore Orioles play the Tigers. And then they promptly come back and say, that's great, sir. We'd love to have you. The bill will be $700. Can you make this happen? Now, to be fair, it comes out to be a little over $30 per person. It's not a ridiculous number per ticket in a normal situation, but to watch this team currently out there, it's a ridiculous number.
When are you going to this game?
I'm going to this game on Sunday.
You know they're going to lose by at least 15.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
I don't even know who they're playing.
They're playing the Tigers.
Okay.
But more importantly, kids run the bases.
Can the Orioles run the bases? I would like to see that.
No, but I mean, I'm really hoping my son gets an international, fan contract or player contract since he's, 13 years old.
I think it's very likely. Got to say, the vibe's not good right now.
Vibes are very poor. Very, very, very poor.
And when I say the vibes, I mean, the people in my circle and then the social media that I participate in. I can't even imagine what it's like on more toxic sites.
Do we name those toxic sites?
No, but I'm saying Facebook and message boards and stuff like that. That's got to just be a cesspool right now.
There's no doubt that Facebook is a cesspool. And then we'll call it older, boomerish, conservative Orioles places are absolutely garbage fire right now too. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anywhere you go right now, whether it's liberal, conservative, up, down, left, right, is looking at this and saying, hey, I believe that they're going to turn it around.
Scott, in these fractured times, in the darkness, the only light that can pull us together, the only thing that can unite us as a people, the only thing that can make us stand shoulder to shoulder and say we share these values is just how badly the Orioles suck.
Yeah, I guess.
Well,
but seriously, WTF, what do we do now?
That's the question. And I think that there are two parts of the question. The one part, which I would like to leave to later, is the one I'm so sick of asking, which is, okay, in another lost season, how do we derive joy from this baseball club? How do we derive joy from engaging in Orioles baseball in this year, which is not going anywhere? But
we'll get to that later, I guess.
Let's set that aside for a second, because when you say what do we even do from here, I start thinking about the fact that changes need to happen.
Yep.
But an interesting component of being an Orioles fan of this era is that we are very familiar with the format of saying this is irrevocably broken. We have to tear it down. We have to start anew. It's going to be painful. It's going to be disruptive. It's going to take forever. And so let me start by asking that. Is that the path to fixing the Orioles?
Maybe. But if they were to do that, and let's just say they were to say, we're going to burn it all down.
Oh, they're burning it down right now, buddy.
But let's go longer term. Let's say we're going to go ahead and burn it down long term in order to say we're going to wipe the board, basically. Would you have a degree of confidence right now? And I think the answer to that is absolutely not. There's no way in the world, I would say, even if you burn it down and wipe the board, I have a degree of confidence going forward that they're going to make the right moves, or they're going to develop appropriately to set themselves up to be able to compete not just in the American League, but go against teams such as the Dodgers. There's actually only one part of the organization right now that I feel somewhat okay with, and that's probably international scouting and international development. Everything else, no, like absolutely not.
Well, I hear you, but what you said is a little bit different than that.
Mhm.
I think that is true within baseball operations.
Mhm.
But Scotty, what's really frustrating about this is that new ownership seems to excel at the part of the business that revolves around making money.
Of course.
They hired Katie Griggs. They're taking advantage of the quote unquote free upgrades that they can make to the ball club or to the ballpark
Yep.
with taxpayer money. They are putting in the Truist Club. They're raising prices. They're increasing the minimum season ticket commitment. And none of that has any relationship to winning more ball games.
Yep.
All of that is making the organization more profitable.
Mhm.
They are really good, this new regime, at that part. But within baseball operations, I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you take a look at revenue and profit being generated, the Orioles, even with attendance, that is going to fall off. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, you think people are going to struggle to get to the ball club now or ballpark right now?
I do believe that is going to be the case. Yes.
Oh, hang on, that's a shock. I'm going to need to. Okay.
You take a drink for that one. But yeah, the Orioles are going to be profitable. There's no doubt about that. And we go into an off season with a potential pending lockout. And I don't think would have ever said this in my lifetime. Maybe it's a good time for it.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny you say that because the last off day, well, the Thursday, there was an off day, and I was like, you know what? I needed a break. I needed there to be no baseball today. And I cannot remember the last time I said something like that.
It's not even just about it not being baseball. Like, it kills me actually when there is no baseball. It literally kills me. But it's almost a situation of like, just like I was talking before, like you need to wipe the board. I almost am like, you almost need a lockout in order to wipe the board for the entire league in order for this team to even have a chance. And that is such a falsehood that I have made up in my mind that it's still not the case.
So your imaginary point that you're making to yourself is that some of the structural changes that might take place due to a lockout for a competitive balance argument might increase the Orioles' chances.
Maybe, or maybe it's a situation where like maybe certain players are more absent from development that is going on within their organizations, and they have a little bit of a fallback period where there's an equalization in the league in terms of knowledge and or data generation. I don't know, but these are I'm at the point right now from a grief standpoint where I'm bargaining, is the best way to describe it, and trying to figure out what is a way and what is a pathway that we can climb out of this hole, not for this year, but for next year and years ahead.
Well, I think when we talk about the future of the ball club, one of the clear questions revolves around Michael Elias's job. People are calling for his head right now. People have been calling for his head for a while, but I think that those calls are getting louder.
Oh, sure. I think they're the loudest right now that I've ever heard.
Well, let me ask, out of fairness, and again, I want to acknowledge the fact that I just self-reported about grabbing pitchforks and torches. Can we make any defense of Michael Elias's performance over the last few years?
So I mean, I think that you can look back and say, him going out and getting Corbin Burns was a really nice move. I think you can look at the year prior and be like, you failed completely on pitching, and you didn't get anybody else. I think this past offseason, it's a matter where you can say, okay, well, you failed on pitching once again. You did go out and get Pete Alonso, but at the end of the day, outside of free agency, outside of off-season moves, the one comment that we kept making is it doesn't matter who you go get, but if your core does not develop and your star players don't star, you're in trouble. And then the fact of the matter is your players are not developing. You look at Kobe Mayo, he's not developing.
But he hit a home run that one time.
He did
That-
hit a
it was
home
that
run.
one time.
You look at Dylan Beavers again, not developing the way that you would have thought of.
It's a pretty oblique situation. I hear you.
Jackson Holiday just came back, but again, we'll see what happens with him. But again, nothing great there. Samuel Basayo looks like a great player, and it looks like he is going to be, a potential all-star in the future. I still think his sky is the limit. I think he's got a great potential. But then you come back and you look at folks like Cowser, Gunnar, they're just not playing to the level that they need to play. And then you're left with the standpoint, which is like, where is no joke aside, where is the cavalry coming from a pitching standpoint? And again, nothing against Trey Gibson, nothing against Cade Povich, but I think we all knew Trey Gibson, Cade Povich's were going to be at best middle of the rotation arms, more than likely back end rotation arms. And you look for the future and you say, outside of Kyle Bradish, who, shows flashes, as most would describe it, who is going to be that top of the rotation starter? And again, I look at free agency for this upcoming season, and you got Scooble, obviously, but then you go in the list, and you've got Kevin Gossman. Hey, we know him. Freddie Peralta, Michael King if he opts out, Shane Bieber, Brandon Woodruff, and Jack Flaherty. Not a great list of players.
You're missing one.
Who?
Chris Bassett is going to be a free agent next year.
Chris Bassett will be a free agent, as well as Zach Gallen and a few others as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just you look at that and you say, what would the Orioles do going into next offseason to address these fatal flaws? And again, as much as he hasn't had a great year so far, you're going to lose out on a Trevor Rogers as well. So you're really going to go into next year with Dean Kramer on his last year, and Kyle Bradish, and then
Shane Baz.
Yeah. I don't know how you're going to get to a point without blowing up your team, or doing something crazy in order to get, pitching, because none of those pitchers that I just listed off are, I would say, a top of the rotation. Honestly, I would love to have Kevin Gossman, but you're not going to get Kevin Gossman. Kevin Gossman will never come back to this organization ever.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, you just listed a lot of things there, but one of the things that jumps out to me is that the Elias regime has not drafted pitchers in the first round.
Yeah.
And so, in addition to not acquiring them, he is not growing them. He is not developing them. And, you can look at it and say he's not drafting pitching at a high level. The organization isn't developing pitching. And the really frustrating thing is that of all of the holdovers possible from the coaching staff when they brought in Craig Albernaz, it's some of the pitching that remained.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do want to give some credit to the organization. I mean, they have done development before for a Kyle Bradish, a Felix Bautista, but you're right. If you take a look at draft commodities, they have not done much from a draft commodity standpoint. And again, part of that is they haven't drafted pitchers in the top 100 draft picks that they've had in most instances. Yes, they have a few folks that look like they potentially could be decent arms. And I think the depth right now from pitching in the minors is the deepest that the Orioles have had since the Mike Elias, regime has started. But there's nobody that, takes that next step forward, or oh, wow, this is an individual who's going to be a top of the rotation arm. It's a concern. It's got to be a concern.
I just look at Mike Elias's track record with developing pitching, and I feel like to a certain degree, the Orioles did have quantity. They had quantity where something should have clicked. And again, I'm not just talking about the guys that are still here. I'm talking about DL Hall. I'm talking about Grayson Rodriguez. Yeah. There was a point in which there was a lot of young, promising pitching coming out of Baltimore.
Yeah.
And none of it worked.
Yeah. I mean, you would hope that you would at least have a few folks over this time period that would have been, top 50 prospects that would have came up and been if they're not number one, at least they're number 2 or 3 solidly. And I think the only person we can point back to is Kyle Bradish. And he was traded for.
Sure.
But I think that's the one that you can point back to and say, that's someone the Orioles helped to develop, but that's it.
This is very faint praise.
Yeah.
Don't don't think that I'm being totally serious about this, but can you imagine if half of those guys had turned out to be a Dean Kramer?
Honestly, that
We're not even getting that.
yeah, we're not even getting that. I actually would have been perfectly fine with that because you wouldn't have Bassett on this team.
Right.
You wouldn't have gone and got Charlie Morton on that standpoint.
Everybody's upset about the fact that we didn't get a superstar out of any of those shots. I'm more frustrated about the fact that seemingly none of those guys turned out to be just okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's frustrating, and then I think it comes back to one of the things that myself and others have praised this organization for was they've done a great job developing bats. They've done a great job picking out college hitters and developing them and creating a certain skill set. But now we're starting to see over the past, we'll call it 18 months, that those bats that you developed, there appears to be holes in those bats where, yes, if pitches are made in certain locations, our batters do really well, but the league has now learned, hey, if I pitch it into this one hole or I pitch this one type of pitch, that's their kryptonite.
Right. If Colton Cowser never sees another fastball, he will cease to be a major league player.
And you can get by with that in the minors, but you can't get by with that in the majors.
Yeah. You mentioned the deals to guys like Charlie Morton. I wish that I remembered where I saw this. This is not an original thought, and I can't credit it. But when you look at the deals that we gave out to Charlie Morton, 2 to Kyle Bradish, now Chris Bassett, the money that they have...
You're thinking Kyle Gibson, not Kyle Bradish.
Yes,
sorry.
Thank you.
Good.
Kyle Gibson, twice.
Yeah.
When you look at the money that they basically threw away for pitchers that it should have been pretty apparent weren't going to be a good investment, you take all that money and you give it to a real pitcher over the same amount of time, doesn't that seem like a better investment?
Like I said, there's obviously risk because you're doing it for a longer period of term, but that's the game of baseball is you're putting risk out there, especially for pitchers.
That money that I just talked about plus Zach Eflin exceeds $50 million.
Yeah, I think it's like $80 million off the top of my head.
I'm just saying, a pitcher, if we gave $80 million for 5 years,
sure,
for a pitcher that deserves $80 million,
yeah,
I think we would have been a lot happier with the results.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we saw that briefly with Burns being on this team, and Burns obviously having Tommy John afterwards. It's just like, okay, maybe we dodged a bullet there, but in reality, you still make that deal and you make that offer to a Corbin Burns, and you're like, well, if he gets Tommy John, he gets Tommy John, but like, we're going to make an offer because you never know when an elbow issue is going to pop up.
And I go back to this all the time. I don't get mad when they try and it doesn't work. The Boz signing does not look great right now.
I'm actually, like I said, I know people are upset about the Boz signing. I'm actually, still fairly encouraged. I mean, and for what you're paying Boz, you're basically paying Boz what you would have to pay, as just like we talked about, any pitcher at this given point. You can get on it and be like, oh, we wasted money. But in reality, you went and spent money on a guy that peripheral-wise looked good. Command still is an issue. But I think it's one of those matters where you look at it and say, you look at his past 2 games, 2 quality starts, and you say, he's still not that top of the rotation arm that we were kind of hoping he was going to be, but he certainly looks like a middle of the rotation arm to me still at this point. And for what you're paying him,
right,
he's a middle of the rotation arm.
I love that signing.
Right.
I think it's not great right now.
Right.
But I think it's the kind of signing the Orioles need to make.
Sure. I
would rather them try more of that. Now, again, you can't have a $200 million payroll and have subpar performance out of it. At some point, you start looking at what you're spending, and you're like,
the Yankees are playing Anthony Volpe right now, so yes, you can do that.
Okay, you can do.
You can do it. You shouldn't do that.
The Orioles can't.
Yeah,
but yeah, I get far less angry at them when they try, and I think that's really what it comes down to. Is I wish that they would try.
At the end of the day, this comes down to 2 things in my head. Number one, it's just like we said coming into the season, pitching. We're going to see what happens with the pitching. They've, suffered a lot from injuries. There's no way in the world you would have thought that you would have seen Brandon Young, Cade Povich as much as you had, Trey Gibson as early in the season as you thought. So the injuries have hurt. But again, you didn't go out and get an ace. And by not going out and getting an ace, you put yourself in a hole once every 5 days where you could have potentially turned to an ace. And then the second thing is, if Gunner's bad, this team's going to be bad. If Gunner's good, this team is going to be good. And it's been great to see Adley do well. It's been great to see Basayo play better and start to turn it on. It's been great to see Pete Alonso kind of start to get on a heater as well. But at the end of the day, if Gunner is not good and he's in your number 1 and number 2 hole, he is your Aaron Judge on this team. You need him to play like an MVP player. If he's not going to play like an MVP player, guess what? You're not going to be a playoff team.
Scott, get in the car.
Okay.
We're going to hop in the vehicle. I'm going to drive you down 95. I'm going to drop you off at the warehouse. I'm going to hand you the keys of the baseball operations organization. And I'm going to say, Scotty, starting Tuesday, you now run things. You make the decisions here. My questions to you are, what do you do from a decision-making standpoint for the rest of this season? What do you do in the off season? And what does the 5-year plan look like?
Well, obviously, I just go sit in the Truist Club. That's the first order of operation.
For the rest of the season,
For the rest of the season.
it is caviar and champagne in the Truist Club with the most glorious hangovers.
So listen, I don't know what I would do. And that's the God honest truth. I don't know what I do. But the one thing that, and again, I don't even have this subject matter expertise, but the one thing I would love to know, and pull on a consultant or someone that actually knows what they're doing, is to sit down and look at how are the Orioles sorting through data, how are they collecting data, and then how are they presenting data, and does that line up at all with what the rest of the league is currently doing?
Well, Scott, you heard Ben McDonald. Data's the problem.
Yeah, I am shocked that an individual that went to an SEC school is saying that data is the problem.
I love the fact that the tables have turned to the point where I'm now needling you.
Yeah. Listen, I get what Ben is saying, though. Like, I'm going to come to his defense a little bit, which is he's right, and this comes back to season 1 of Bird's Eye View. Analytics matter, but at the end of the day, if you are not applying analytics and or doing things differently on the field, then it doesn't matter whatsoever. So again, if you're just like, yeah, but my exit velocity is this, it doesn't matter. Ben is absolutely right about that. Like, it doesn't matter what your stuff plus is. If you don't have command for it, it doesn't matter. That comes back to the Shane Boz standpoint, where you look at his stuff plus numbers. I think they're still like 108 or 109. But again, early in the season, no command. And if you have no command, guess what? It's going to get hit. Same thing with Kyle Bradish. Kyle Bradish has had some really nice stuff plus numbers. But what has happened? He's left a bunch of meatballs over the middle of the plate. That's going to happen. You're going to get hit. Defensively, Orioles have not shown any fundamentals. Hitting-wise, not great in terms of hitting with runners in scoring position, making productive outs. Analytics are absolutely an important facet of this game, but so are committing the brilliant basics. And if you can't commit the brilliant basics, the numbers don't matter.
In the discussion of, does Mike Elias have to go? And if so, what are you looking for? The really horrifying part of that for me is that the seemingly obvious answer is, look at successful organizations that have done it right, that have done it successfully, find members of their organization that have had meaningful leadership roles, and offer them a promotion to the big seat. The horrifying part of that is that is Mike Elias.
Yep.
A few years ago.
That's absolutely right.
The Astros were the model.
Yep.
It worked everywhere else. It didn't work here.
Yep. It just feels like we're in a trash can.
It does. You know what I would do? I don't know how to fix the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to fix the baseball operations, but I would have a completely different PR relationship with the fan base while the team was underperforming. This would never happen. No one in their right mind would do it. I would roll ticket prices back to 2011 prices until the Orioles had a winning season.
Oof.
I would give
Let's at least just go back to 2014 and just be like, hey, we haven't won a playoff game since 2014. We're implementing 2014 prices.
I would make it impossible for fans to stay away. I would say, come down to the ballpark.
So bobbleheads every game.
There is no hope we're going to win, but we're going to create an environment that you want to be in. And if we're not going to make money on the gate anyway, until we do our job right, we're going to put you into the seats. I would have a different relationship with the fan base.
I don't think it's going to matter. Unless you're giving away bobbleheads, I don't think it matters. I don't think there's anything that you can do outside of promotions to get people into the ballpark without just offering promotion. Baltimore is a tchotchke town. We love our promotions. That's the way to draw people in. So if you really
Are you telling me that winning fixes everything?
winning fixes everything, yeah,
Have they tried that?
they have.
Huh. Maybe they should do that.
You just have to have no pride. Oh, that's another Texas team.
All right, we avoided the question. We ask it every year seemingly. Okay. Oh, we suck again.
Yep.
How do we have fun?
Again, it's the standpoint, which is, I think, what I said on the last podcast, and I've kind of been alluding to. It's the standpoint you go to baseball games, you come back to, like you said, you're expecting to see bad baseball, just like when you go see a minor league baseball game. You're going for the entertainment value. You're going to see one good moment. And the baseball games become white noise in the background. You don't live and die by it. It's there, but it's more of like the box score that you keep up with every morning, but less so staying up till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, or in some cases 3 o'clock in the morning to watch a full game.
I don't think you're wrong. I just don't like that answer.
It's extremely frustrating. It's extremely frustrating.
Here's a depressing thought.
Mhm.
Have we become so old that we struggle to enjoy the Orioles this way like we used to?
Oh, absolutely. But again, I think part of that is, we'll call it 40 plus years of seeing, for at least 70% of that time, really, really bad baseball.
Is loving bad baseball a young man's game?
I think loving bad is always a young man's game.
Scott Magnus, unusually deep thoughts.
I mean, I have just asked you a question. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
Except they always
Don't hurt me. No more.
All right. Do we have any more tomatoes to throw?
No. We'll see what happens. I've called it over a week ago. The season's over. Maybe magic happens. I highly doubt it. There's nothing there to make me think there's going to be magic happening. But let's see what happens. I think the thing that really bothers me is there is no cavalry ready in the minor leagues that's going to come up and potentially save this team second half of the season or not. So it really is left with, it's not why not or buckle up birds, or it's more of the question of, is for the 2026 season is what's next?
Oh, I thought you were going to say why bother?
Why bother's another one too, but I'm going to go with what's next, which is like, what exactly is this team and what is this organization actually going to do to pivot in the necessary way they needs to be?
All right, President
And
Bartlett, I like it.
I think we're about to experience another 2018. It just feels that way to me, that we are about to experience a 2018 all over again. That, coming back to your private equity world, Mike Elias walks into David Rubenstein and says, hey, we gave it a shot. There was a lot of things that happened. You're in the private world to a certain extent. How many times have you heard, well, COVID really put a damper on things? I could easily see them pointing back and saying, like, well, listen, COVID impacted our development of some of these players. We think it's best for us to come out of the lockout, have it be completely a brand new organization, a completely brand new team, and for us to start from scratch with new rules in play for MLB.
So you're telling me that the players are going to wake up to a 15-minute Teams meeting on their calendar at 9 a.m.?
That is exactly right.
Bummer.
Just feels that way to me.
I want you to be wrong so bad. I want you to be wrong.
But it's private equity and corporate America. You know I'm right. We brought these consultants in.
What would you say that it is that you do here?
Yeah.
All right.
Jake, I'm a people person.
I take the baseballs down to first base.
I get the engineers and the baseball people to talk to each other.
Lordy. All right, so there is our heckling from the cheap seats. No bases to be had. There's no scoring. Everything's awful all the time.
Should we play some Michael Bolton?
No, not at all. All right, Scott, our listeners may know that this week, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert ended its 11-year run due to a combination of thin skin, corporate greed, and what I'll call a dubious commitment to American values. But what they may not know is that one of our favorite recurring bits here on this program was lifted directly from late night television. So, with thanks to Steven, his writers, and everyone at The Late Show, we bring you Bird's Eye View's version of Truth or True. Scott, my first question to you is this. Truth or truth?
I'm going to go with truth.
It's a bold choice.
Yeah.
It's a bold choice, and I like it. You now have a student driver in the house.
Mm-hmm.
On a scale of 1 to Chris Bassett pitching for your baseball team, how frightening is that?
Not that bad. I mean, I think it's been fairly enjoyable, and it's been interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to give this an Adley Rutschman where there's ups and downs. But overall, I enjoy experiencing it on a daily basis.
All right. I will say I am by nature a nervous passenger, so I'm not looking forward to July. That's not going to be fun.
Jake, truth or truth?
Ooh, that is a good question. I feel like I'm contractually obligated, however, to go with the truth.
Jake, in your life, do you ever feel like you have ever been in a situation such as Craig Alvarez is right now, asking himself, how the F did he get into this situation?
Daily. Yes. Yes. The thing is that everyone had it out for Brandon Hyde. I actively feel sorry for Craig Alvarez.
Yeah.
And I said it jokingly at one point. Like,
He accepted this job. He must have come in and been like, hey, great, look at all this talent. I'm going to be able to do it. The team is committed to reorganizing and reinvigorating. And I think even came to spring training, it's like, all right, it's not exactly what I wanted it to look like, but overall, I'm going to be able to make this work.
I think about the pitch that he gave to Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
Because Pete Alonso talked like, oh, the plan is great.
Yep.
They let me in on what they're thinking, blah, blah, blah. I want to know if those two have sat down on the plane next to each other and been like, can you believe?
This is the worst timeshare I have ever purchased in my career.
I actively feel bad for Craig Alvarez. Scotty, truth or truth?
I'm going to go with truth.
All right. Of all the stadiums that you have not yet been to see a baseball game,
Okay.
which is most likely to outshine Camden Yards in terms of baseball experience?
I haven't been to this stadium, and I really want to get to the stadium before said individual leaves baseball. And I don't know if it would the stadium per se would outshine Camden Yards, but I think going to Dodger Stadium once and seeing like Ohtani pitch on a late night and just see Ohtani hit like 2 or 3 home runs and pitch, I think that would be like a Babe Ruth-esque moment for me. And then I think just being around a bunch of people that are just absolutely crazy would be a fun moment.
I think it's a remarkable answer.
Yeah.
I've
been to a lot of stadiums.
Right.
Yeah,
and I know that your list
yeah.
is smaller. I think that going to Dodger Stadium and listening to Vin Scully on a transistor would have
That would have been really
the
good.
experience.
Yeah. You can still do that with the correct EMF reader, but
True.
Yeah, exactly. Jake, truth or truth?
I'm gonna have to go truth.
We were talking about Stephen Colbert ending the show. As of today, Stephen Colbert got up with an older gentleman.
That'll happen.
His name is Paul McCartney. He also played with Costello as well. But at 84 years old, Jake, does Paul McCartney still have it?
I think that my views on Paul McCartney specifically are well documented on this program.
Yeah, that Ringo was a better musician.
Sure,
Yeah.
the Monkees,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm going to say, at 84 years old, no.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney does not still have it.
It was a roughish performance.
Can I give you a however?
Sure.
Paul McCartney had it way later than he was entitled to have it.
Absolutely.
Paul McCartney has given the world music it had no right to have. I enjoy watching him use what he's got left in any way that he can. And I think that because of those first two things, that he has earned the right to do whatever the heck he wants. And if there are people that still enjoy it, great.
No, listen, I agree with you. Like, I watch him perform and I'm like, all right, he definitely is not the same, but the imposter that is up there pretending to be Paul McCartney,
Billy Shears.
is doing a pretty decent job. Not it. Not bad, just not it.
84, amazing. Paul McCartney, not it.
Again, I watched all the performances this week, including last week on the Chorus.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. But again, like I was watching it this week, and like you obviously had Springsteen, and then you had McCartney. I mean, Springsteen kicked ass this week. It was just an amazing performance. And again, he's even slowed down. But like I just watched Springsteen versus McCartney, and I'm sorry, Jake, but Springsteen still has it.
Hey, enjoy it while he does.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott, truth or truth?
Dare, no truth.
By the way, bird's eye view, truth or dare? Dangerous.
Dangerous.
We talked all this episode about the direction of the ball club.
Sure.
And we can talk about the manager's choices. We can talk about the general manager's choices. Some of this will eventually come down to ownership. We were very critical, rightly so, of the Angelos ownership group. I have no ill will for David Rubenstein, but my question to you is this. Is it possible that Orioles fans will look back at the passing of ownership to Mike Arrighetti as the turnaround of the franchise?
Oof. I think it's way too early to say at this moment. We'll see. But I'm going to say no at this moment.
Here's my case for that possibility.
Sure.
I feel like the ego on that guy would be a valuable asset for Orioles fans.
It's possible. I got one more truth or truth for you.
I'm listening.
Are you-
I'm sorry. I think the answer is then truth.
Okay, so this is my final one for you. Jake, there has been a recent trend going around Major League Baseball. I'm sure you know what I'm going to be asking.
This is the shirtless guys?
Jake, would you rather do the tarps off celebration or would you rather do the wave at a baseball game?
Oh, absolutely shirts off.
Because you're doing tarps off, going around with a bunch of other middle-aged man, taking the shirt off and waving it over your head.
I believe at my age that's tarpaulin off.
Tarpaling off? Is it tarpaling?
Tarpaulin is the
Tarpaulin.
full word. That is the full word that tarp is short for, and it was Jim Hunter's favorite reference to make.
Gotcha.
All right.
I feel educated now.
And there you have it, folks. That is truth or truth. Scotty, I think it would be an absolute sham to go through this past week of Orioles baseball after the vitriol that I've just spit out and find anything other than ugly. And so, with apologies to Derek Arnold for a lack of consistency in format, I say we skip that, take a quick break, come back and blow the save. Scotty, I have to tell you something. I've got something exciting brewing.
Ooh.
No, it's not that.
Ooh.
It's not that either.
The shirt is coming off right now.
I am fully tarpaulined. I don't even know.
Better say this is going to be a mature audience now.
We're working on a little something. Listeners, we're working on a little something. Listen, the rest of this season, you're going to get some of the stuff that you're used to. You know, obviously, we've got a mid-season award show, which should be an absolute
Dumpster fire. Also, for folks that are listening that maybe want to participate in said award show, please reach out to us on contact@birdseyeviewbaltimore.com. Even if you're a listener and you do not do a show, we would be glad to hear your hate speech on that award show.
No, not hate speech. No, not hate speech.
Why not? We absolutely want hate speech because then we'd be entitled to $1.776 billion fund in the future.
Oh, no.
Listen, Keegan Aiken, Austin Hayes is still getting money, are going to get money from that. So we should get some of that money as well. So absolutely fine with hate speech on this program.
Oh, no. Somebody's just going to isolate that sound. We're working on a little something. It's a project that's
But it's
going
not
to be
hate
fun.
speech.
It might take us a couple of weeks to get it to you, but please just know that we at this program are not just full of Scotty's hate speech, but
It's not my hate speech. I'm just asking the broader audience for hate speech.
when things get nuts with the Orioles season, we turn to shtick.
But say, I didn't storm the Capitol. I was just around with a bunch of other people that stormed the Capitol. It's perfectly fine. I'm going to blow and blow to save one more. So we're going to do a double blowing.
Phrasing.
But I think we have to call out props to Nicole Sherry for retiring.
Yeah.
Well, not retirement, moving on, but somewhat of a retirement, going in and now working for the state of Maryland. Major props to her. An absolute wonderful person who has done an immaculate job. And it was one of those matters where you could always go to the ballpark, look at the field, and at least know that one person was doing their job effectively.
You know, Nicole was a former Bird's Eye View guest on our 100th
Yeah.
episode.
She will never put that on her resume.
I think it's the first thing.
Yeah.
I think that's what got her the job with the state.
Well,
I think the Department of Agriculture or whatever it was, big Bird's Eye View
Bird's Eye-
listeners.
yeah. They're just like, hey, you're ornithologically oriented, so we're going to go ahead and give you this job.
That's correct. She is an incredible person. The seriousness with which she took not only her duties, but also the joy that she took in being part of the organization was a really great thing to connect with as a fan. She not only loved being good at her job, she loved being a part of the Orioles organization. She took such an incredible amount of pride in doing her part
Yep.
to win ball games.
Yep.
She viewed her care of the field as doing what she could do to help the Orioles win ball games. An incredible legend in her field, a person who helped define that role for women, a person who, you said it immediately, should be an Orioles Hall of Famer
Absolutely.
today.
Today.
They should have done it on her last
Yep.
day.
It should have been like, listen, you have done so much that we are making an exception, and we're putting you into the Hall of Fame as of today.
Hats off to her. Congratulations on a phenomenal career with the Orioles. And best of luck to what's next. And that is our show. Remember, you can find this in our entire catalog of indispensable episodes at birdseyeviewbaltimore.com.
Bird's Eye View is available for download wherever there is each podcast. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and many others. Please remember to rate, review the show. We appreciate the feedback, and it encourages other people to listen for the first time.
Come and get social with us. You can email. You can send Scott hate speech
Absolutely.
at contact@birdseyeviewbaltimore.com, or you can check us out all over social media. We are literally everywhere except for that one place where we are at Bird's Eye View BAL. And with that, Baltimore and beyond, I will bid you all a fond adieu.
Good night, Baltimore. Be safe out there, and let's go O's.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.